Hello and welcome to Fergie's Gum. I'm your host Nathan Irvine and I'm joined by Ethan and Mr. Paul Cropper. Ethan's back, he's returned. How you doing, gents? How we doing?
Happy.
Yeah,
Very happy.
Happy. A nice quiet day at Old Trafford in Carrington. Nothing too unfamiliar happening at the club right now. Just a normal week, isn't it? At Manchester United Football Club. Of course, we're to talk about the last bits of dust that have settled on Ruben Amorim being sacked at Manchester United this week. We've already done a knee-jerk reaction podcast with Ahmad, who's not here today. But if you want to listen to that one, then you can go and check that out. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to look at all of the fallout that has happened since it was announced that Ruben Amorim was no longer going to be in charge of Manchester United. But I thought we'd start with the end of his reign.
No, guys, I just want to say that I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach. And every department, the scouting department, the sport director needs to do their job. I will do mine for 18 months and then we move on.
Strong words from Ruben Amorim there in his final words as Manchester United head coach, not manager. Either of you two, if you want to go and try and have that similar type of conversation with your bosses today, just see what happens. Because I'm gonna guess it'll be exactly the same as what happened to Ruben Amorim. But I wanted, because Paul, you was going to be on the podcast, so I'm going to start with you first. How are you feeling about this? Because you was kind of unwavering with your support of Ruben Amorim. And probably more than the rest of us on the podcast. Probably more than me, more than Ahmad, more than Ethan, certainly. It's happened. He's been sacked. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, a waste of everyone's time, wasn't it? Just a waste of 18 months. It's just a waste of 18 months. Absolutely ridiculous. It wasn't so much as a support for Ruben Amorim personally and himself. It was more of support for the long-term plan and sticking to a plan and just trying to see it through. That's what it was. Ultimately, I'm glad I got to listen to you and Ahmad's podcast, to be fair, and I tried to steer clear of other people's, so it didn't kind of influence what I had to say, because kind of relieved it's done, Nathan. It's over with. That's my feeling now, is that it was getting to a point where, I mean, we've just listened to the clip there. As soon as he mentioned the 18 months and then I'm out, he's done. You're done. I watch it and I go, what's he doing? He's just nailing his own coffin. He's done. He don't want to be there. He's left them no option. And to be fair, I'm kind of glad Ineos have reacted and done so. I know they're going to have to hold their hands up and admit they've made a big mistake, aren't they? That's what they're all going to have to do. That they're not going to get the opportunity to make another mistake. I said it in the chat, and I don't think I put it in our chat, but that Wolves' first 45 minutes will stick in my mind for a long time. It was that bad, and I kept saying on the podcast that how can you approach a football match? How can you come out and start? Well, now we know. We all know that the players were like, we're not having him. All the little stories that are coming out, they weren't willing to run through brick walls for him, and we can see why. And ultimately, he's just said, I'm sick of it. He's using the excuse of being micromanaged, which you're gonna get. You're gonna get that at big clubs. You're gonna get that at Real Madrid. You're gonna get that at Bayern Munich. And my final thought on it is he couldn't handle it. Yeah, gone. And I'm kind of looking forward to the future now.
Excellent. Yeah, I think it kind of mirrors what me and Ahmad was saying as well. The relief of it just being over, just it was coming to that conclusion a long way off. And the results just weren't matching. And we'll go into far more detail about it in a second. But Ethan, how are you feeling about it now that he's finally left?
Just to be honest, I'm very happy he's left. I think one of the earlier podcasts we had, I was talking to Paul and I said, nah, I want him gone. Just like you mentioned, you can't speak to your boss that way. It's never going to end well, and also another thing, it's with Amorim, it's at any club, whether it's Sunday League, Bundesliga, even the Prem, results are how we judge managers, and his results, the results weren't matching what he's saying. We look at the loss. We played the bottom six. We drew to Wolves. We drew to Nottingham, West Ham. It's all a mix up, and I think just like you mentioned on the podcast earlier with Ahmad, it was like a culmination of his fallout with the squad and his fallout with management. So I think it's the right decision. I'm upset that Ineos made this decision because of the fallout, not because of results, because the results have been there for a while. But ultimately, I feel like this is the right decision. I'm happy that he's gone. Obviously, it's never nice to see someone lose their job, but I don't think he was. I don't think he was doing good.
Yeah, fair. Paul, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just wanted to pick up on Ethan talk about the results there. I think Ineos have possibly, if you put the fallout to the side, they've probably looked at the past 8 games and thought, there's an opportunity here now. This league is so poor. There's an opportunity to get into the top 4. And they've probably looked at them games, the West Ham game, the Everton game. We all know the games. They thought, if we get rid of him now, we could still there's a chance to get top 4. There's a chance to get Champions League now. If we carry on performing like this, we're not going to get there. We're going to have to act now. We're going to have to take this chance. And it's a risk, but if you bring in an interim now, the club might get a lift. I know there's this new manager bounce. There's a possibility of getting in top 4 for the summer, and then you build with the new manager with a plan in place. I think it was just something they couldn't leave, really.
And I think he made it. I think Ruben Amorim made it impossible for them to carry on in that relationship, and it was, you have to remember back. I think it was a few months after he started, and then in the summer he offered his resignation twice. So that's a man, and I said this to you before when we had that little debate that we ended up kind of agreeing on, Paul, when we did that podcast where you was all for it and I was against it, but we kind of agreed in the end. But just that point, or the points that stuck out for me, were he'd already offered his resignation, and I don't want to be in a relationship with someone like that is not committed. So if that's the feeling that he's giving to his players, he's thinking about, I'm going to leave, and they hear the same things that we do, then why should you run through brick walls for him? Why should you be adapting to his systems and things like that? It's a disaster. But I want to talk more about the Ineos side of things in a second, but I do want to go through an absolutely amazing piece that The Athletic have done. I know other publications have done their bit as well. The Guardian have done one, which was very good. I think Sky Sports did one as well. ESPN have done basically the story of his firing, and in a lot of the points are very similar. But I'm gonna read them out in sequential order. So I'm just gonna go through them, okay? So we can go back onto the little subjects afterwards. But first off, he told Jason Wilcox in his office following a meeting about the formation where he got angry that he wanted to leave. That's what Ruben Amorim said before the Leeds United game, that he wanted to leave, and he went out and he called his agent because he wanted to leave and he was trying to orchestrate his way to get out. Squared up to Lisandro Martinez in training. I think that's kind of, it's been taken out of context, because if you read the rest of what happened, it was Licker was like, I want to play, you're not playing. Bit of a to-do with the two of them, but then Amorim was like, right, okay, fair enough, you're ready, and get the captain's armband on as well, you're ready to come back, let's do it. Whether he wilted, I don't know, but that's not a great look. Having a massive argument with Kobbie Mainoo at the end of last season on the training pitch, where they were shouting at each other, again, that explains so much about why Kobbie Mainoo is not in this starting lineup, because he's just falling out with people. Jim Ratcliffe using Jason Wilcox as a conduit to speak to Amorim and tell him what formation he should be playing. This is a man that is a petro billionaire, right? And that's how he's made his money. He has no clue. He has as much clue as me and the two of you running a Manchester United team as like that's as far as he knows football. Same as us, watching from the stands, watching from home. That is it. Training in a you were talking about this before, Paul. Training in a 4-3-3 on the pitch to please Jason Wilcox, and then playing 3-4-2-1 on the day, and not telling the players. So again, confusing messages. Anger at Semenyo not being signed. He saw Manchester United as being weak in that pursuit for him. Semenyo apparently was annoyed and did pick the phone up to United because he was told, you're too expensive, Bournemouth want 70 million. And then United ended up paying 65 plus 5, was it? For Mbeumo. So annoyed him. So he got his knickers in a twist about that. The big chat after Wolves, apparently they stayed in the stadium for an hour and a half, all chatting about what the hell was going on. So Ruben Amorim's already in a bad place. Didn't want to sign Sene Lammens, didn't want to sign Benjamin Sesko, wanted Ollie Watkins, wanted Emi Martinez. And basically the whole thing comes back to Wilcox and Vivell leading the transfers, which I think is good actually, because I don't want another manager making decisions on that. But out of all those things, and I'll start with you, Ethan, out of all those things, like, surely, I mean, just one or two of those things is enough for him to be sacked, right?
Yeah, definitely. This just goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think first and foremost, it should be the results, right? And then also comes with the fallout with Ineos. I think the system now Ineos is trying to employ is kind of like Clear Lake, where they don't want a manager to be. And on top of that, during the press conference, he talks about, I'm here to be the manager. When he was hired as a head coach. I think I sent in the group chat the other day a picture of, even on the United official website, the PL website is all head coach. So I think the new system is where they want a head coach to coach the players. And now they have people like, Vivell to handle the transfers and, to do their jobs. And so I think to do with certain parts of him having a fallout and the system, I think both are wrong in terms of Jim Ratcliffe and Amorim in terms of arguing over the system. I was reading the piece, and how can you're completely confusing the players, training in a 4 and then going to play in a back 3. It's completely confusing the players. And on top of that, I completely agree with the fact that on the pitch, if something's not working, as Wilcox, I'm entitled to go and ask the manager, what's going on? What's happening? Let's try something different. Same as how if something's not going right in the running of the club, Barada has to talk to Jim and be like, what's going on? So I think, those are the main points that I was looking at in terms of, the piece. Yeah.
So, Paul, obviously there was a lot of things that we went through there. The big ones for me was like, it wasn't even the training ground bust-ups. I think those things happen all over the place. It was the interference, and this is how we'll get onto the Ineos stuff. It was the interference from Jason Wilcox and Sir Jim Ratcliffe trying to tell him, right, now you need to change your system to 4-3-3. They knew what they was getting when they hired him from Sporting Lisbon. They were desperate to get him in. They said it's now or never, and they knew what his philosophy was. Surely they've take the main responsibility for this. They have absolutely messed up on this occasion.
Completely. Yeah, completely. And I'm not sure if I trust them to make the right decision next either. That's worrying. You can't employ a manager for his philosophy, hurry him through the door 6 months ahead of time from when he wanted to come, give him a load of players that weren't going to fit his system. You're at United, the back 3 was always going to be highlighted when it was going to be news every week. And you kind of get sick of talking about it, don't you? The formation and, is he doing a back 3? Is he doing this? The Kobe Mainoo stuff was draining as well. But with Ineos, if you're going to bring him in, leave him alone. all right, if you brought him in under the player coach, manager, if he's a manager, he has to let him manage. If he's being a coach, well, he's got to let him coach. But whatever. I mean, Wilcox has come out now and said, I'm a coach at heart, and I can't help getting involved. No, that's not your job. That's not your job. And if you're going to do that, you need to get out. We're not having you interfering. The next manager won't stand it either. First thing he'll be saying is, what's he doing in the office, telling me how to manage a team or coach a team? It makes me worry that other managers will be looking at this mess here and going, I don't fancy working under that system.
I don't think that will be the case, though. I think Manchester United is still the prize that a lot of managers still strive for. I think they all come into it and think, I'm going to get paid a load, and if I get sacked, I'll get a load. And to be honest, I might be the one that can change it. I don't think it diminishes their returns on who they could get. That's all I'd say.
Yeah. I'll say it again. I said it before. They can't afford to make another mistake, can they? They can't afford to waste another 18 months. This next decision is going to be huge.
But we keep saying this after every problem that they cause. They manufacture the problems that they have to then deal with. So hiring Dan Ashworth, it's well documented. Dan Ashworth did not want Ruben Amorim. He said his system would not work with the Premier League. He said his system would not work with the players that they've got. And what happened? Dan Ashworth gets sacked and they get Ruben Amorim in. 14 months later, 13 wins in 2025. 13. That's just over one a month. It's ridiculous. It's absolute shambolic. And then we look at giving Erik ten Hag a contract extension. And what we're doing? Why are we giving him a contract extension? You knew that you didn't want him because you was already talking to Thomas Tuchel. You was already talking to Marco Silva. You was already talking to Thomas Frank. All of these other managers. And then you go and extend his contract and bring in loads of assistant managers on high salaries as well. I just think Ineos, they're making the Glazers look good and competent, and that is a massive worry. A massive worry.
We can't be trusted, can they? That's at the end of the day, they can't be trusted to make footballing decisions. Barada, trying to think of the right decisions he's made since he's been there. Wilcox as well. They have to be looking over the shoulder and worrying about their job, because surely their job's in the firing line as well. And we said it, if Ruben Amorim goes, one or even the pair of them are going to have to go. Because who is the yes man there? Who's in charge? Do we know? Is Barada the man in charge? Does he go in and tell Wilcox what to do? Is Wilcox then going down and telling the manager what to do? That's not how you run a successful football club, is it? It's just not going to work.
Apparently, after all of the reports that have come out and all the rumours, that is exactly what's happening. It's Ratcliffe is then feeding back down to Barada. Barada's telling Wilcox, or Ratcliffe is telling Wilcox directly, and then he's going and telling Ruben Amorim what he should be doing, including Sir Jim Ratcliffe's idea that Brian Mbeumo should be playing at left wing back.
Yeah, ludicrous. Ludicrous.
Imagine it's madness. It's like coming in and just saying just change your entire philosophy on everything. Like you know, even as on your delivery routes, for example, Paul, on your delivery routes, you know the easiest way to get around it, right? You know the most efficient way. Yeah, it's like someone coming in and going, yeah, you're going around that way now. Oh, I need you to go round the other way, because I just on a whim. Why do I have to do that? Because I've said so. It just looks like it might be easier, and it might be better.
Don't give Royal Mail any ideas, mate. Don't give them any ideas to save any money. So you think Ineos about it?
Exactly. But it's just when you go back to the micromanaging thing that we talked about at the beginning, it is a difficult environment to work in. At the same time, he must have gone into that eyes wide open, knowing that things were going to have to change. He would have to evolve as a manager. He was saying as much in recent weeks. He was saying that he was going to evolve. It was a massive two fingers to Wilcox when he played 4-3-3 against Newcastle, and then reverted back to 3 at the back against Wolves. He's basically, I think, something probably happened before the Newcastle game. He didn't feel secure in his job anymore. And he was right to feel that way, because it was just everything was taken away. The one thing that I do want to ask both of you, do you think he's actually done anything? Is there anything positive that you can take from Ruben Amorim's reign from the last 14 months that you could point out and go, yeah, actually, I did enjoy that, or I did like that, or that will be his legacy? Anything positive, Ethan?
Let you go, Ethan.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it's easy to look at the negative because there are a lot of negatives. But in terms of, I think for me, some of the players that he got out needed to go out. I mean, namely Garnacho, and Sancho. Sancho had to go. But I think, some of the way we played, I mean, we had that stint where we won three games back to back, had Jim Wilcox talking about and Omar Barada talking about 2028. So, there are positives to, his stint at Man United. We did play some good football at times. And ultimately, I don't believe he's a bad person. Like, I believe he's a good person. I just think he was not right for the job at United.
I think that's how we all feel about Ruben Amorim. I would say, Paul. None of us wanted him to fail. We wanted him to succeed because he was wearing his heart on his sleeve and he really wanted to improve Manchester United's fortunes. But the original question was, what type of positives can you take from his reign over the last 14 months? And for me personally, I'm struggling to see anything apart from, as Ethan just said, trying to reset the culture at the club by getting rid of the bad apples. But is there anything else? Am I short-sighted? You're shaking your head.
Even that, in hindsight, even resetting the culture, has that happened? We've still got players sulking, players kicking their boots all over their own, arguments in the background, arguments between staff, players still at the club that shouldn't be there. I've seen off so many managers. No, I'm going. You know what? I know people are going to say you're a hypocrite because I've been sticking up for stick with the manager, blah blah blah. You have to look at the facts and you have to say he's probably the worst United manager we've had in recent years, isn't it? If you look at the fixtures and you look at
whoever sat down,
where's that come from? yeah. Well, you have to look back and say no, he's been a disaster, don't you? Really, after what have we done? Some of the games we could go to. We go to the Grimsby game, the Cup final, the Wolves game, the Everton game. There's been so many highlights of terribleness, if that's even a word, but having that compared to anything that's. When you asked me that question, I was thinking, what good can I say that he's done? He's not the one that's got rid of the players. Ineos have actually got rid of the players, haven't they? They were going to go no matter whether he was there or not. No, Nathan, I'm not going to sit here and stick up for a man who at the end of the day didn't want to be here. You don't want to be here, pal. Get out. Don't let the door hit you in the backside on the way out with your 10 million.
And I think that's it. He's never looked happier than when he got his compensation came through and having a little walk around Cheshire with his wife in the snow. Look nice. But even the stuff that we were just trying to say was a positive, clearing out the deadwood, he even managed to mess that up by being like too explosive and being too literal and letting news out that Garnacho had to go and all the rest of it. You probably lost about 15, 20 million off that deal for Garnacho, but by saying by saying that you've got nothing, I don't want you here next season.
That's something you get with, and I won't question his passion. I think he was quite passionate. There was also, you said it quite a few times, and I didn't know whether to say, oh yeah, that's actually happened. But you were saying that there was this offset of what we see as the manager in press conferences, what we see in interviews, and then what the players are actually getting. And now you can see it. It's very scummy in a way. And as soon as he's out the door, oh, look at this, he was doing this to me, and these little stories come out. It's pathetic, in it? That's the world of football. Once he's gone, they all just have the little jab, don't they? Once he's gone, but if that's what he's doing, Nathan, then you can see why players like, who's this?
No, I think it's. This was came second hand, but it was from a member of the senior team, you know, a member of the first team at Manchester United saying, which I heard, that Ruben Amorim he wasn't approachable. When he's coming across saying that he's, you know, come and knock on my door and do this and do that, he hated it apparently. He did not like it. And I found that out about 6 months ago. And it could only have got worse in that time. And I think when you reflect on the comments that he made about the squad and reflect on the comments that he made about the youth players as well, in hindsight, that was all very pointed. It was him basically burning all of his bridges at the club and being like, yeah, you all think you're great, well, you're not, and I'm leaving anyway. So, you know, I'm going to tell it how it is. Because it was only in the last month or so that he really did start to pinpoint people and like transfers and things like that. And clearly the Semenyo thing upset him, and that's why he just blew up completely. But whenever you take a job, the one thing that you have to do in any line of work, you have to be able to manage up and you have to be adaptable. Doesn't matter what job it is. If you're being employed by someone to do a job, then you do the job. If they've got feedback for you, doesn't matter how it is, you have to interpret it in a positive way. You cannot carry that into your day-to-day work because, well, this is what happens. You get sacked. Anyway, we talked enough about the sacking. Let's talk about, after this break, who's going to be in the hot seat next. So, Amorim out. Who's in? Well, we don't know permanently. So, at the time of recording this podcast, what we do know is Johnny Evans and Darren Fletcher, and Darren Fletcher being the main man, is going to be in charge for the Burnley game. There's another lad that's with him as well, and I forget his name. It's a lad that he's been working with in the under-18s, I think, with Darren.
Travis Chinian.
That's the lad. Good. That's what you're here for, mate, to fill me in on those details. So yeah, Fletch is going to be in charge. One thing, and I was going to talk about this later, one thing that I did kind of realise as well, and I did a bit of research on it this morning, and I was trying to find other examples of it, but Darren Fletcher could be the first manager in football history, top flight, to play two of his kids in the same game on the same team. So he could make history. And you know what? If you've only got 2 games, I'd do it.
Just do it.
Because then you'll always be a pub quiz question.
Yeah.
Who was the first manager to do it? So, I mean, I've got the bookies' favourites here, but before we get into that, I thought I'd ask you guys first. Like, who do you want to be the manager of United next? Ethan, have you got any ideas who you want, or is it up in the air? Who is it?
I think for me, Thomas Tuchel. You know, I know it's highly unlikely, but Thomas Tuchel. You know, his win average 59%. You know, Chelsea with the Champions League. You know, I think he also employs like a 4-2-3-1 system, I think, as well, which is kind of suited for United as well. So I think for me, Thomas Tuchel. But yeah, I don't know.
I think he interviewed. They obviously interviewed him in the summer before Ruben Amorim came in, and I think they made headway with him, and I think he impressed. But it was between that and the England job, and he went for the England job, which I can see why he would do something like that. I still think he's a bit too fiery for Ineos' liking, but yeah, he could be a big shout.
Yeah. I think.
Sorry, you was going to say something else? Go on.
Yeah, I think also, I think they approached him early. I was reading about it somewhere where they approached him early, and he was like, I'm going to take a little break before and then he went on to do the England job. But I think, you know, like you're saying, I don't think United right now are at the point, especially with the Ineos board, where we can have someone like, you know, someone as fiery as a Tuchel, even a Nagelsmann, or, you know, like I'm hearing people talk about Xavi. I don't think we're at the place where we can have someone like that at the point in time. Yeah, I don't think we're ready for that. Yeah.
What do you think they're ready for then? What type of manager is this squad ready for?
I'm hearing shouts about Ollie, but you see, it's a dangerous place because I think I want United to go forward and Ollie be, he'll be looking back, because there's always a danger where, he left, he's coming back, and there probably some players, like I know Dalot wasn't really, firing under Ollie, but some players were doing amazing under Ollie, but some players weren't. So there's always a danger of like, some players were not too happy when, he was managing. Now he's back and, will he regress? But I think, I'm hearing Ollie, I'm hearing Glaz now, but I want to stay away from a back three at all costs. I was doing a bit of research the other day and, there's only one time where a back three has ever won the Prem, and that was Conte. Other than that, never. So, yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, fair. Paul, who's your pick right now?
I put it in the chat yesterday. Luis Enrique had been my choice. He would have been my first choice anyway. I didn't think there was any chance whatsoever of getting him away from PSG. And then it came out last night that he's just rejected a mega deal, new contracts from PSG, and his contract is up in. Go on.
Can I upset you?
Go on. Brilliant.
That story is a load of rubbish. There's no sources to it at all. It was published in Bild, but if you look at the actual article in Bild, there is no source for it at all. There's nothing. And PSG Insider, which is a Twitter account that obviously does like the English version for Paris Saint-Germain, said this is all like it's not true at all. And that
his odds have gone from 100 to 1 to 20 to 1, so which makes me intrigued. But yeah, if you can't get, it would have been my first choice, Luis Enrique. Tuchel would be another one in the summer, which probably an interim for the 6 months, and then bring Tuchel in. And what we need, somebody who's proven in the Premiership, and he's top tier. We need a top tier man. We can't be going for a Michael Carrick. It's just to come in. We can't be going for a Darren Fletcher. I know everyone wants these players that have got some sort of connection with the club. I have no issue with them being in the backroom staff. I have no issue with them being assistant. What we need is a main man who can stand up and he can put his CV on the table and go, look, I've done it. I've been there and I've done it. And that is what we need. Tuchel would be my second choice. Even a Glasner. I mean, a lot of people, I know a few Gummers have messaged me and saying that Glasner's the man to come in. Why? What's he proven? Oh, he's another one who's proven that if he don't get what he wants, he'll just say, oh, I'm off. We don't need that. We need someone who's guaranteed. Tuchel would be a guarantee. Luis Enrique would be a guarantee. If you can get either of them, get it done in the summer.
What was you wanted to say something, Ethan?
Yeah, about Tuchel, just like what I was, like the board we have now is kind of like I mentioned before, it's like Clear Lake, with Chelsea, where, they want a head coach. Do you think people like Tuchel and Luis Enrique will come in and agree with that, saying, because if I remember the way Tuchel was at Chelsea, he wanted to be in control of almost every asset around, his team. So do you think, him coming into United, we need to change some things before he can come in?
I don't think, as you said before, Manchester United isn't set up for someone like Thomas Tuchel to come in. It's not set up for like someone like Diego Simeone to come in. What Manchester United is set up for is for a yes man to come in and do the bidding of Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox and Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And that means when things are going wrong that they perceive as going wrong, they have to adapt and change whatever it is that they're doing, their philosophy, and do whatever it is that they're told. Same thing with the transfers. The days of like Sir Alex Ferguson having full control over these players coming in, even Eric Ten Hag, having the final say on who came in and who didn't, they've been burned on that. And those things aren't going to happen anymore. So Thomas Tuchel, for me, is a bit of a throwback. And I think depending on what happens at the World Cup, I can see him getting into club management again. I just don't see it being at Manchester United. The odds checker top three, which I checked earlier, that in reverse order is Michael Carrick, Oliver Glasner, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You can also get Big Sam at 500 to 1 in some places as well, if you fancy that. But I think when you consider everything, and he's obviously been talked about before, and I just mentioned him there, United need a yes man, the ultimate yes man for Manchester United, who has a proven Premier League track record. The ultimate yes man. Go on, who am I going to say, Paul?
Well, go on. You would say proven in Premier League. You're not who I was thinking. Go on.
Go on, who was you going to say? Who did you think I
was hoping you weren't going to say Southgate, because I'd have just stormed up.
No. Good God. No.
Go on. Ultimate yes man.
Absolutely not. The ultimate yes man is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Look at the reports that came out about when he was in contact with United yesterday. Didn't care about contract length, didn't care about what the salary was, just wanted to be part of Manchester United again. Lads, that is, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the perfect foil for Ineos. If you want someone in that's going to do everything that you tell him to do, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is that man, for right or wrong. And let's be honest, right? He had a very, very good win percentage when he did it last time. Yeah. And the thing that undid him was signing Cristiano Ronaldo again. United had to bring him in, bring Ronaldo in, because if they didn't, he was going to City. That was the big thing. So they just on a political thing, they just had to make sure that Ronaldo came to them. I can't remember the timings of it, but was Haaland wasn't there then, was he? So it's a sliding doors moment. If Ronaldo would have gone and played in blue, Solskjaer was desperate to get Haaland.
Well, he's not the only one he was desperate to get. The list that Ollie wanted was Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Haaland, and there was another one, I can't remember what it was. But if we'd have actually listened to Ollie and got who he wanted, this whole thing would be completely different. I can't. He must know, Ollie, that they didn't listen to him last time. He can't be going in there again. I mean, you always say don't go back to an ex, don't they? This isn't going to be better than what happened before. That he's not going to get a permanent. He's not going to have Rio Ferdinand slamming his hand on the table, Ollie at the wheel. It's not going to happen. It might get a kick for 3 to 6 months, and that's it. And then we need somebody proven who is a head coach who's won everything. Otherwise, you're just going to restart again in 18 months. We'll be having the same conversation, Nathan.
But this is the thing, though, with the proven record, who's going to come into that system that we have just discussed is not set for a manager who has his old principles? Who's going to come into that system and go, right, okay. I know at the top of it, I said that it's one of those top jobs. It will always be one of those top jobs. It will always be one of those top jobs. It sounds like someone's being raided by the FBI, by the way. I keep hearing banging going on. Whose house is being swatted? It's like a Guardiola. He even said, a job of a manager is to come in, sell your ideas. You come in based on your ideas and your philosophies, and you sat on the results. Who is going to take that type of setup that you can see right now that's going to go, yes, that's for me?
Ethan, go on.
So, I mean, with Ollie, the danger that I'm seeing right now is if you look back, for example, let's talk about Chelsea. Frank came out, they brought Frank in, and the second time he came on, complete, like it was terrible. His second stint was terrible. And
Frank Lampard, you mean, not Tony Frank?
Yeah, Frank. Frank, yeah. I should have said Lampard. Frank. But when he came in again the second time for Chelsea, completely terrible. It was completely different from the first time he was on. And also with Ollie, I think we also need to put in context the type of players he had. Ollie had a great team. This team that we have compared to the team that Ollie had, night and day. Literally, if we're looking at the midfield we have now. I mean, Bruno is still there, but
he also had Mason Greenwood there, didn't he?
Yeah. Prime Greenwood, prime Rashford, and Rashford was a hungry Rashford. He wanted to play. Pogba was there. So I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure who to bring in now. I don't think, like you're saying, I think the team is set up. The team is set up for. The team is set up for. Sorry, the team is set up for a yes man, and I think Ollie would be the best, but I don't think long term he'd be the best. Like, I don't know. It's a bit of a
No, I
confusing
don't
one.
think. I think there's two things at play here. There's who the best man is and who Ineos will go for this job. That's what I say. So the best man for the job is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but the man for Ineos who's going to do anything for them is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
This is why they can't be trusted, though, Nathan, to make the right decision. I'm just looking at the list of managers here and the setup that we've got that you're discussing there now. And almost all of them have had problems with people that have managed their situation. So you look at it, you've got Glasner having problems at Palace. And Luis Enrique's kicked off before about his Maresca has had problems before. Unai Emery had problems when, was it Michel? Oh, who was the director of football that got kicked out there? Pochettino had problems at Spurs with being managed. De Zerbi had problems at Brighton. And that's another name that he just caused mayhem. Marco Silva is having problems at Fulham with his contract as well. It's a list. I mean, Graham Potter even. You look at him, he's 60-61. You wouldn't go near him, would you? There's not a list of managers there that you're not going to find someone who has dealt with a director of football, dealt with the sporting director, who's not had issues with him. It happens everywhere. The only managers that have actually been successful are the ones that have been said, right, we're going to leave you alone. Who do you want? Bring him in. That's not something that Ineos are going to accept, though, is it? It's not something that we're going to do. So you're going to have to get someone who's got a track record of having problems with this situation and dealing with people above management.
I think one name that we haven't talked about there who would probably be a good fit, who has Premier League experience as well, and no, it's not Gareth Southgate. It's Eddie Howe. He came out in his pre-match press conference yesterday, and he said that he's got no interest in taking the Manchester United job. But when you say, have you dealt with this type of thing before? Yes, he has. He had Paul Mitchell, who got sacked, didn't he? In the end, he's had problems with Alexander Isak. He's gone through all of these transfer things. He understands the Premier League. He plays that fast attacking football. He could be a shout, but whether or not United would fancy digging him out of there, I don't know. Maybe Newcastle might fancy a change. But until then, I think it's probably going to be, it'll be Fletcher and Evans until at least for the next 2 games, and then interim manager, most likely Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in charge for the derby. So bring it on.
Coppers transfer corner. Big one.
Here he is.
It's not a big one. It's not a big one. It's not.
It's not a big corner. Is it a small corner?
It's small corner. Yeah. It's easy because of all the news, but you can
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say actually before we even get into Cropper's transfer corner. Surely, this is a moot point now because Manchester United won't be signing players for an interim manager in the January transfer window. So anything that is being rumoured right now or linked right now is pointless. New head of senior scouting, Carl McCauley, Chris's best mate, is now in at Manchester United, in on his first day. Ruben's last day. What an absolute shambles you're going into. Yeah, exactly. Where are you guys going? But it's fair to say nothing's going to happen till the summer, apart from Kobbie Mainoo, who's probably going to stay. Joshua Zirkzee is probably going to stay. And I'd say any players that were kind of on the fringes might have a way back into the team now. So,
which is exactly what we didn't want. And it's exactly where we were going. All the stories have ground to a halt, really. But like you say, the outs probably won't happen. I think this is another reason why Ruben, I don't think it's any coincidence that as soon as the transfer window was open and he got told, no, there's nothing happening, he'd seen his backside. And he said, well, it's not good enough. But yeah, the outs have all slowed down. The ins have slowed down. The one story that I've got is United have submitted an offer, and we spoke about it before, for Yan Diamande The report claims United have offered €90 million to sign a talented young attacker from the German club. It's something that seems like, I know we spoke about him as a backup to Semenyo, didn't we? It seems like the club are going to try and press on with this, but it's saying that PSG and Bayern Munich are now interested in him, and they will be. They will be. Yeah. So that's one rumour there. There's not many. The only other one is Adeyemi from Dortmund as well. Apparently he's had a terrible season, but Dortmund are looking to cash in, and there's clubs around Europe, United being one linked with. But we do get linked with these players, don't we, when these clubs are getting pushed out. So that's all slowed down transfer-wise, and doesn't surprise me. I think it'll be the summer now.
I think one of the big things to say there as well is Macaulay that's going in as head of senior scouting. All of this is going to change. He's very data driven. So a lot of it is in analytics. A lot of it is in vast scouting networks and knowing people at certain clubs and having relationships with them. So he's going to work very closely with Vivell. And I think the most exciting thing that I can say for Cropper's Transfer Corner today is that there's going to be players that we haven't even thought about that are going to be coming to the club that are going to be really exciting to watch. And I think there'll be a mix of experience, and I think there'll be a mix of youth as well. In the same way that, like, Belieber turned up at Brighton, I'm sure that after Belieber at Brighton, there was a list of another 2-3 players that could have done that job and would have been as good as him or better. So I think that will all change. I don't think we need to dwell on Cropper's Transfer Corner much more.
For now. No,
I think it's not for now. We'll bring it back next week to see if there's anything there, because Macaulay will have had a week to do some magic. So you never know. But
I'll message him, see what he's got to say. See if he's got anything out of the corner.
Yeah. Sort it out. Anyway, we'll talk about the Burnley game right after this break. Tonight, Manchester United take on second from bottom in the league, Burnley, at Turf Moor, with Darren Fletcher as head coach, not manager, for Manchester United. Burnley they started off okay, but they've been dreadful. And I'm not entirely sure what to expect from this. Ethan, how is Darren Fletcher going to line up with his first team? Is he going to call bluff and play a 3-4-3?
I mean, when he plays with the under 18s, he mainly plays more for 3-4-3. 4-3-3, sorry. Not a 3-4-3. No. I know I was listening to Rio speak on Rio Presents, and he was talking about how, he plays with that intensity where, it's always on the front foot. I hope he plays like that, but obviously, he hasn't had much time on the training ground. But I think, it's going to be more for 4-3-3. Hopefully, more attacking. And yeah, I'm actually just excited, to be honest. I'm excited to see a change. Yeah, so I think
it's nice to go into the game, and obviously Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount might be back as well. It's nice to go into the game and not feel like we have to worry about formation, like a rigid system. I sort of, I'm not saying I don't care, but it's one of those, it's kind of a free hit. Like, can we just see what the players can do with the shackles off? Maybe they are totally rubbish, and Ruben Amorim was right all along. They're not good in any position, but just that freedom of they're going to play, and they're going to play in a new way. Surely that's an exciting reason to tune in tonight, isn't it, Paul?
I'm nervous. I just don't want to get turned over at Burnley by second bottom. I've just been looking at it, the squad there, and we know from the Newcastle game that the players probably look more comfortable, feel more comfortable in a 4-3-3, don't they? 4-2-3, whichever it is. We all know that. Interestingly enough, I was listening to Fletcher before we came on, and he said that the club, his words were strange. The club believe that this formation is better for developing players. And we always said it, didn't we? It was really weird how Ruben Amorim had the first team doing this, and then the rest of the club, it didn't filter down. Surely you start them off like that. And if the club believe that this is the best formation for developing players, then your first team plays that. It just makes sense.
I thought that was. I thought when I sent it in the group yesterday about the press conference, I thought that was Darren Fletcher being very clever about the way that he introduced that, because he was sitting on the fence. He's being very diplomatic about Ruben Amorim. Yes, I've reached out to him. Yeah, it's difficult for the players. Yeah, it's difficult for everyone. No, we're not just going to change formation straight away. Like, he knows what's going on there. He saw it. Like, yes, they may have got on a personal level, but now this is his team. Like it or lump it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he'll play what he wants. And there's a reason why Jason Wilcox kept going back to him and saying, "You need to play 4-3-3." Because, as you said, Paul, all the way down into the youth teams, they were playing 4-3-3. It's not about developing players. It's not about doing that. It's about playing football. Ajax do it. Barcelona do it. All these top teams that have this philosophy, they play the same way from first team to under sevens, and
Yes.
it's to get them ready for it. So yeah, it was a bit clever from Fletch on that one, I thought, but
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up. Yeah.
it's a 4-3-3 tonight. I think it'll be
Yes.
4-3-3.
I agree. And you have to say, and we've said it for ages, it suits the midfielders a lot, doesn't it? More than anything. It's the midfielders that have been left alone. Now you're thinking of Casemiro with maybe Mount. I heard he was saying that Mount and Bruno will be on limited minutes as well. So yeah, probably looking at Ugarte starting in there with probably Bruno, to be fair.
Yeah, I can't see Bruno not starting that game.
Yeah.
If he's ready to play, if he's ready to play any minutes at all, it's all the minutes. So I think he'll be starting that game 100%. Do you think there'll be any major changes? I know we joked about possibly playing the Fletcher twins at some point, but do you think there'll be any changes to the squad? Any surprises that will come back? I don't think Kobbie Mainoo's quite ready to play. I know he's been assessed today, but do you think there'll be many changes, Ethan?
No, I don't think there'll be many changes. I think the back four is literally writing itself. But I'm not too sure how we're going to set up if we're playing a back four. But because I'm thinking it's probably going to be left back. Probably going to be. I don't know if Delo is going to play. I think probably Lissandro, Heaven, and Euro. I'm not too sure, but I don't think
It depends. I think it depends on what he does with Patrick Dorgu. I think
that's what I'm thinking.
That will depend on what he does with Darrow. So if he does play a similar 4-3-3, it might be Dorgu at left, on the left wing or the right wing, and then we'll have like Darrow and, well, I guess Shaw. Shaw at left back.
The worry is now.
Evan?
Yeah, this is the problem that I'm just about to come to now. Because we've been playing this three at the back, and because it feels like we've got about 18 centre halves, and they're all left footed. That's an issue that we're going to have. So how do you can't drop Aiden Heaven after the way he's playing. You can't drop Lisandro Martinez after the way he's playing, which means there's no space for Euro. You've also got De Ligt and you've got Maguire ready to come in. If you're going to play four at the back, you can only play two centre halves. What's going to happen to the rest of them? This is another issue where we've got so many defenders now. You can't fit them all into the team. So it is going to be a worry. There is the option of putting Martinez into the midfield, and then you could do that. I don't think you'll do that. The one thing that when you ask that question there, Nathan, is after the last game, I believe Sesko should be dropped. I thought that performance from Sesko was terrible. And one that lads putting now, I know we've heard it before, it looks like he's playing football in Timberlands. You can't play football like that. What you doing? That was awful that I've seen from there. What do we pay for him? It was 70-odd million. No. I know he's a kid, but he looks clumsy. He's playing against Leeds.
I get it.
Make sure your first touch is right. Go on.
I get it. And that also goes down to not feeling great at the club. And I think Ruben Amorim is probably a big deciding factor on that. I mean, even though Matthias Cunha played well, there were still times when he was like shrugging his shoulders and he was like running with his head down and just, he didn't look interested. And obviously he comes alive when the ball's at his feet. And he did have a really good game in the end. But you could tell the body language on a lot of these players is just like, oh, I messed it up. Now, is that through fear of being told off? Is that through fear? Is that just through frustration of the formation that they're playing and not being able to get to the right player at the right time? And I think Sesko is definitely a prime example of that. He's playing in a formation where there's no service to him. So he can make the runs all day. And we've said that for weeks. Oh, he's getting in the right positions. Oh, he's getting in the right positions. Yeah, but you've got to put it all together then, because he was getting in the right positions at Leeds. And just, as you say, trampoline touch. And the ball was bouncing off all over the place. I think you've got to start him. And I'm probably going mad here. I'd even go 4-4-2. I'd put Xerxes just behind him. And I'd just go, forget it. Here we go. Couple of battering rams. Have it. Here we go. Just try something new.
It's an option, isn't it? But what Sesko needs is he needs players close to him. Sometimes in that Leeds game, there was nobody within 10 yards of him. Cunha, I mean, like you say, he had a good game. He was probably, but he's going standing next to Lisandro Martinez. Give me the ball. We don't need you there, mate. We've got Martinez who can pass. Go and stand next to Sesko and don't be more than 10 yards away from him. When Xerxes came on, it looked like there was a little bit less. They were more together and there was more options for him there. There was not really many people in the forward line who could see a pass. Dorgu's not really one for seeing a pass. He's not got that finesse about him. He will work hard. Xerxes showed that he has. That's Xerxes' probably best half an hour I've seen him in the United shirt. Which I was watching it going, who's this guy? Where have you got him from? He's all right, this lad, isn't he? Yeah, we're not seeing him before. But Sesko, he is a young kid. He has to work on everything. But I think, like most 6'6", 6'7" strikers, if you've got no one around them, they're not gonna burst the line, are they? They're not gonna take on 3 or 4 people. They're not gonna see it. He needs to be in the box, chesting things down, which is why he works with Mbumo really well, because he'll make the runs off it. And that's what he needs. And he is missing him. He's probably missing Ahmad as well, putting the ball into the box, because the other lads can't cross anything, can they? The service is terrible. So, there's not another option, is there, other than Sesko. So he will start. I just feel like he needs to improve.
That's fair. I think that's a fair assessment. Yep.
I've still got a bigger question. When Ahmad, and it looks like AFCON, they're not coming back anytime soon. When Ahmad and Mbemo eventually come back, what's going to happen to Cunha? Where's Cunha going to play?
Where do you think he'll play?
I'm not sure.
Sell him.
Yeah, he's probably get dropped.
But this is another thing now, that this continuity plan that they've tried to come ahead with. We've got too many defenders and we've got too many right wingers now, haven't we? Because you've got Ahmad and Mbumo. What are you going to do with the pair of them? And this is an issue that we didn't want to fall in, the trap that we didn't want to go down, of why we've got Favel making the transfer decisions, which we've mentioned. So it's going to be interesting to see. My worry is they're going to start putting Ahmad on the left wing, because he's just not going to be comfortable there. We've seen how that goes. How do you fit in Mbumo? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But that's for the managers. That's why he's going to get paid the big money.
Yeah. Well, not Darren Fletcher. I'm sure he's on a set salary for tonight. But what's your score prediction then, Ethan?
Seeing how Fletcher likes to play, just constantly at it, I think it's going to be, we're going to score a lot, but I think we're also going to concede a lot. So it's probably going to be, because our midfield is still weak. So I think it's probably going to be 3-2. 3-2 United.
2 United. Okay. Paul?
1-1.
1-1. I was going Desmond.
I'm confident. I'm just not confident at all, to be fair, in the players turning up. But
this is how bad things have got. This is how confidence we've got. I'm actually positive about watching the game. I'm not entirely confident about getting a result, but I'm happy and excited to see what's going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
Just something that's going to be a little bit different. And after it, we don't have to keep talking about Ruben Amorim and his demeanour. So I'll take that. Right. Let's get straight into the Gummers mailbag. Right, let's have another round of the Gummers mailbag. I'm not surprised that their questions are about what's happened this week. But the first one, who did he come from, Paul? We got it sent on WhatsApp.
Mr. Kevin.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr.
True
Kevin.
Gummer.
Let's play it out. He sent us a little WhatsApp audio.
So my question for Fergie's Gum, the Gummers mail, is as follows. Are the ex-players, class of 92, and the others who played under Fergie, Keane, to name another, are they doing more harm than good with their punditry?
So, are the ex-players doing more harm than good with their punditry? I mean, Gary Neville was name-checked in Ruben Amorim's final press conference as Manchester United head coach. We're saying head coach, he's not manager. Sorry, Ruben. You're gone now, so we're just sticking to the facts. But I mean, I'll put the question to you guys first. Paul, you obviously have some opinions on this. What do you think?
Yeah. They're entitled to their opinion. I don't think it helps. But when you've had players that have won everything and done everything they've done at the club, and you come in as a manager, you have to earn their respect. And because they've done everything at the club, they're entitled to that, in my opinion. And I don't believe that anybody since Sir Alex has gone has actually done anything or shown enough bottle or any personality for them lads. We're talking about the obvious ones, aren't we? Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt, Gary Neville. Nobody's done enough for them to go, oh, I respect that decision. They've not shown enough. They've not been good. Their standards are up here, and I don't think any of us quite understand. Our standards at the minute are down. They have just been said 1-1 at Burnley. Those lads there are winners, and they will not accept anything other than top tier. And you have to be top tier for them to respect you. And I don't think anybody's been good enough for them to do that. And they won't drop their standards and go, oh yeah, that's no, this is what we expect. And they've seen it since they were kids. They've seen it since they were 7, 8 year old, all of them. And they have every right to say, no, I'm not happy with what's there. And I don't think they ever will be, because we're never going to get that top high standard again. And we have to accept the fact that they're entitled to their opinion, and you have to live with it when you're at a big club.
And I think Darren Fletcher said that in his first press conference for Man United. He was asked whether or not it does affect the team and how ex-pros can be a negative influence on the team. Just asked how you deal with it. And he said pretty much exactly what you just said there. You have to deal with it. They've won everything. They'll put their medals on the table, and then you have to show them that you can match up to it. So it is a difficult one. I don't think they're helping. I think there's too many fragile egos in football these days that don't like to be told that they're not quite doing the best that they can be. And it's like, you don't want to hear, oh, I'm trying. You want to hear, right, well, I'm going to win the next game. I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove to you. Like, do you know, I think society's gone a bit soft, to be honest. So if there's like players in that dressing room that are looking at Gary Neville and Gary Neville saying, oh, you're not playing enough expansive football, or you're not getting up and down right. All right, go and prove him wrong. Go and do that. Don't sit and sulk and post on social media about it and cry in the changing rooms. Go out and prove him wrong. Like, I'm not saying this is a comparison, but James Maddison's, when he scored after Keane gave him pelters, and Maddison came out and gave it back to him and then immediately got injured. But I think it's like, it's one of those, you have to have a spine and you have to have a thick skin when you play for Manchester United. Otherwise, go and play for someone else. Go and play for Crawley Town. Go and play for like Wycombe Wanderers. Go and play further down the leagues where you're not going to be in the spotlight as much. And enjoy playing football at a substandard quality. But I don't think it helps. That's a fact. I don't think it helps. But I don't think it's a problem that they do that. None of them have ever won anything in management. So there is that. But, and you said this a second ago about they haven't lowered their standards. Gary Neville said that the 4-4 draw with Bournemouth was much better. Now that, for me, that stunk of a lowering of standards, mate. And once it starts creeping into that, oh, the performance was good. No. You win that game. Ethan, do you think it helps or hinders?
I mean, just to comment on what Gary Neville said, you know, he was talking about his kids having a good time but you know, it's all Amorim. Amorim made you feel like a draw is okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. Like you both mentioned, you know, there's not much for me to add. You know, they haven't lowered the standards. We've lowered our expectation of the club, you know, not them, because they've played in United shirt. They've been managed by, you know, Sir Alex, you know, so for them it's like when Roy Keane talks, it's like you know, you get the sense of he's failing to understand, why is this player not running? You know, why is he not tracking back? Why is he not defending? He's failing to understand, because he's like, when I was playing, I did it, you know? So I think, like you're saying, it definitely doesn't help. But, you know, if you're managing at a big club such as United, this shouldn't be a problem to you. You know, like you're saying, this shouldn't be a problem. I know I read, I was reading on it that Jim Ratcliffe watches some of the podcasts.
Yeah.
And maybe that is the issue, but it shouldn't be a problem. And as a manager of a big club like United, there are going to be people talking all the time. So yeah, I think it shouldn't be a problem.
The things that you just described there, both of you, when we're talking about what these players are actually asking for, ex-players, what they're actually asking for, it's not dribble round 10 players and score. It's not perform bicycle kicks with every cross. It's not score with every touch. It's run and be in the right position and fight for the ball. It's nothing more than that. And I know it sounds crazy to even suggest that that's like a major issue, but it is at Manchester United. So, yeah,
sorry. I said this last week. My 11-year-old daughter said at the Wolves game, why are they not running? Why are they not doing it? If she can see it, sure, and obviously the ex-players can see it. It's simple things, isn't it, Nathan? Simple things. And like you said, they're not asking for much, are they? Just work hard.
Yeah, exactly. You've got another question there?
I have, yeah. From Paul Hart.
Non-Manchester
United.
Oh.
Yes. Still a gummer. He's throwing it in there. He's put, why do United fans believe that a manager would want to come from another Premier League club that is currently doing well?
I've already seen
He was talking more of Emery, Eddie Howe.
Yeah. I covered it before. It's the biggest job in football. And that's not just saying that because I'm a Manchester United fan. It is. Because every single manager that has got an ounce of ambition about them feels like they can go to Manchester United and be the one that fixes it. Look at the people that we've been through. Look at the coaches that we've had to come through Manchester United. It'll never lose that gloss because there'll always be that competitiveness of the manager at a different club, even Unai Emery, even Eddie Howe, if he's saying that he'd never do it. You get a statue built outside Old Trafford if you're the one that gets them back to the top of the Premier League. 100%. And they all these managers feel like they can do it. And that's one of the reasons why it's not a case of like United fans feeling like, oh, we can just go and poach anyone. It's not that at all. They want that challenge. They want to be at Manchester United because they see it as probably the biggest thing that they could do in football, resurrecting a once great team. Who doesn't want that on their CV? And they'll all fancy it as well. No one will say no to it. So that's my belief behind it. But I think it will always attract the top managers and the money as well.
Always about.
Because if you're not getting it in just your salary, you'll get it when you boot it out in 10 million quid when you leave. So there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else got anything to add to that. I went on a bit of a rant there.
No, you're totally right. You know, it's like, you know, when you think of Aston Villa, I think of Emery even though Aston Villa are ahead of United in the league on the table, if Emery comes to United, it still feels like Emery's taking a step up.
I know
That makes
it's
sense.
crazy.
It's still like
That might be us. That might be, that could be a Manchester United fan, thinking that we're above everyone else. But
Yeah.
I think somewhere deep down inside these managers, even someone like Liam Rossini, he's just joined Chelsea, and he said, there's no way that I could have ever turned them down.
yeah.
If it was United that came in for him, I reckon he would have done that. He's a Man United fan anyway, so I think he probably would have gone there. But I think there's certain managers that you'll never be able to get. I think Pep Guardiola, you'll never be able to get him to go to United now. I think that's done. I think Jurgen Klopp, probably before, while he was still at Liverpool, you probably would have said no. Right now, it's crossed his mind. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it's crossed his mind. If they came knocking, would I immediately turn it down? That's the first thing that he'd be asking himself. And I think that's a lot of managers. Anyone that's in any line of work, if you're being asked to go and work for another company and help change their fortunes, I think if you've got any ambition about you, you would always go and try to do it. And if it ends in failure, at least you tried. That's it.
I'll just answer it.
Just stroking your chin.
I'm just thinking, Paul. I know Paul, he's just going to be like the United fans. Yeah.
Who does he support, by the way?
Bolton Wanderers says a lot on it.
No, I like Bolton.
There are a limited number of special clubs in the world. Manchester United are in that list. So you're talking Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, AC Milan, Manchester United, Liverpool. You put them in there. It's a very, very limited number. So when you're talking about the likes of Aston Villa, you're talking about Newcastle, you're talking about Spurs, you even throw Arsenal into that there. They don't compare. They just don't compare to special clubs. And that's what Manchester United is. Yeah, that would be my answer.
I think that's fair. The last one, and I'll just get like a quick answer from both of you on this. This is from John, who sent it on Instagram DMs. Should JJ Gabriel make his debut against Brighton in the FA Cup? Ethan,
100%.
JJ Gabriel. Would you start him? Or would you off the bench for you?
He'll come off the bench. Yeah, he'll come off the bench. Yeah.
Okay.
I won't start him.
Paul?
What answer?
Agreed. Completely agreed. Give the kid 10 minutes. I would also do the same with Shea Lacey. While there's an opportunity there to play these kids, and you know what? The opportunity is there now because we're not going to be doing three at the back, are we? They're not going to be playing wing back. They're going to be playing in positions of just be man. We've all probably seen that clip of Sir Bobby, haven't we? Bobby Charlton, and him saying, "This is what Manchester United do. We play young kids. We go for it. This is an opportunity." Can you imagine that crowd if you've got two young kids, wingers, going at it? Just attack, lads. Just attack. It's the perfect opportunity to have Shea Lacey on the right, JJ Gabriel on the left for the last 10 minutes. Just go for it, kids. Go on. See what you got.
Maybe a Cheeto Obi shout.
I don't know what that far. He's not ready, that kid.
But yeah, Harry Hamas is back as well. Harry Hamas is back as well, apparently.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Just before we do wrap up here, I did want to just kind of get your thoughts on this one. The players coming out and saying thank you, Mister, thank you, boss, thank you, Gaffer, all these things. Was it just me, or did they all feel a bit sterile? Did they all feel a bit copy and paste?
A little bit fakey fake. Yeah. I don't know whether it was because of all the little murmurings we've heard in the past 24, 48 hours, where we're all kind of like, yeah, really? Yeah, it's very generic, isn't it, Nathan? And this is what they all do to these managers. They don't care, do they? They don't really care who the manager is, do they? Until someone goes in there and gives them a good rollicking, are they really bothered? Even then, these boys are crying to each other and their agents, weren't they? Sophia's.
Exactly.
I saw that. Big babies.
I saw where I think a couple of players came saying thank you. I think 9 players, including Kobe, weren't like privy to like social media posts and all that. And I was seeing that a lot of people commenting on, there's like on Instagram, a couple of memes come out of Amorim being sacked and Kobe's liking them, and people just keep retweeting. So it's quite interesting now. So
I know it's petty. But
yeah,
when you think about living through hell in the workplace and that bad person that you disliked all that time finally gets booted out, yeah, go for it. Have at it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough from us. Thanks very much, guys. Massively appreciate it. Especially you, Paul, who keeps getting up early in the morning to do these podcasts with us. If you want to follow us on socials, then you can get all of them at fergiesgunpodcast.com, including the free newsletter, which Paul started doing the play ratings for as well. So I'm gonna
got told I was too generous by a few people. Yeah,
too generous.
What do they know? Too generous. Yeah.
I will say, just while we're on air, to clarify this, we don't do 0.5s.
No, I noticed you saying that. I noticed you change that.
So if you give it a 0.5, I'm always rounding it up, not down. So there we go. But we will speak to you again next week after. Are there 2 games? Brighton and Burnley. Is that right? It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
No, don't bother. I'm going with it. We'll speak soon.